life is an anomaly, yo. So don't follow me. Get strangers to the locals, and the pain is hard to swallow. See, your life unfolds like this origami, and the devil wouldn't try me. So that's the reason why he will pick apart my mind like dissection. My brain contains vocabulary, that's my weapon. I'm guessing you made it to the end of this trek, but please never forget what it is you have left. Take a look around, all you got is yourself. Nobody, no money, just you and your health. If you could count that, but some would doubt that. So don't be a house cat and explore the vast map that the world has laid forth upon the table. Don't let all your dreams simply become a fable. From cradle to grave, existence to not. No one could ever stop your words or your thoughts. And if your thoughts ever drive you to a state of madness, fear not, because this state takes some minor practice. Crafted and forged inside a flame that once entered, you do not return the same. So don't be ashamed when you find you have changed, cause when life's stagnant, change a good thing. For the brain, the body, the soul, the heart, don't take them apart. Keep them missing from the start and depart from negativity. Keep it upwards, don't hide it in the cupboard. Embrace your true lovers. Life's far too short for animosities, too many atrocities. So keep a tight posse, be quite possibly the freshest on the market. But why you wanna start shit, just drive the car and park it off the side of the road and in the ocean, and keep on hoping that your mind will stay open.
If you want a good cigar, go to a good cigar shop. You want the best, go to Famous Smoke Shop. Check out with the promo code RUDY20. That's Rudy, R-U-D-Y, 20, and get $20 off your order. I accomplished a lot in 2020, exposing the truth, establishing the relationship with you, working tirelessly for America. And I came to know the work and value of the people at American Hartford Gold. Give them a call and tell them Rudy sent you. Text Rudy to 65532. If you want a good...
All right, and if you want an exclusive code to a free Twitch Prime, use code RUDY20 at checkout. What's up, everybody?
What's good?
Happy Sunday. We're back.
I love how we both typed Rudy20 instantly.
Trying to get the redeem code.
He's all, I know the good people here at like Gold Cigars or something.
I know the good people like, hey, what's the name of this fucking place again?
God damn it. He looks good there, though. He looks better than he's been looking, honestly.
Leaking fucking sulfur from the side of his face.
Yeah. Now he's just smoking Reggie in some fucking courtroom or wherever the fuck he is here.
That's what all cigar shops look like. Just courtrooms.
Just law offices and courtrooms. Probably because the people that smoke cigars are those people. AKA, I'm not knocking cigar people, but
I want to let everyone get their screenshots in real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Before it's gone forever. Or until the video goes up.
Also, I don't know if you're here. We got a follow right before the stream started. Marco. Yeah. Shout out to you. Oh, no, Marco, I mean. Shout out to you.
Shout out Marco. Presumably that's your name.
If you want to watch Ronald Reagan get punched, you go ahead and drop a follow, and you can watch that happen. Right in front of you.
Yep, right in your face. All right, how's everybody's week been?
Fucking busy and stressful, but, you know, I'm always...
9 days, right?
I'm on day 5 of 9 in a row.
Yeah, that's brutal and unnecessary.
You know what it is.
It has been very cold. Even when it's been like nice and bright out here in the mornings, it's been pretty chilly still.
Hey, Poppy Popin with the 3 biddies and a follow.
Oh.
But I love the podcast name. Have some biddies. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, brother.
Stick around if you're interested in knowing what we're about.
Hey, yeah, we're about to pop off the show right now.
And Shadow Blader 411 with the follow as well. Appreciate it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We're just getting. Hey, let's just keep doing this. So there's more. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Well, for those of you that maybe are new here, we're like a political podcast show, and we do general like international and domestic news here in the U.S. But our main thing too is we try to keep try to be an outlet for local organizing in our community of Oxnard, California. And we just try to be an outlet. We try to interview people from our local community on issues that concern our local community. And even when we cover like international stuff, I think we always keep that stuff in mind too. And always try to relate it back to home here.
Oh yeah, it's super important for especially the people that live here who like, they'll hear what we're saying, but like to be able to relate it to home gives it so much more meaning.
Yeah, because those are the people that are watching day in, day out for the most part, I imagine.
Yeah.
But we appreciate people that are watching elsewhere too. That's why we try to integrate, international stuff too, because I mean, shit, we've had people watching from like Argentina and shit.
Yeah, there's that one Chilean fucking libertarian guy.
Yeah.
And Venezuela too as well.
Yeah, so international appeals important, especially for our kind of politics.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys want to jump in the show? Or anyone any updates?
Let's start it off.
Let's do it.
First things first. We have as of yesterday, we've had some serious talks about what's going on with our stimulus, or our next corporate bailout is what we should actually call it. But
yes.
So Big Daddy McConnell and the rest of the corporate establishment fucks in the positions of power have decided to give us measly middle-class Americans $600. Most likely a one-time payment. All the details have not been confirmed yet, but it's most likely going to be a one-time $600 check. At that same time, they're going to give millionaires and billionaires and huge corporations way bigger bailouts and more money that they definitely do not need. At the same time, people are losing their homes, losing their apartments, etc., etc. They can't have their water, their lights on because they're so many hundreds of dollars behind in rent payments. So yeah, that's the reality of what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. We have something right here on screen, or we're going to pull it up right now from the New York Times, just as like a little piece to have on the screen for you guys.
I believe they have agreed come to the agreement that they're going to fuck us by only giving us $600. So that's a real spit in the face. Mm-hmm. And I think the other one is this is still, I'm not going to say good, but the extended unemployment, which we've covered multiple times, which, both with the evictions looming at like later December and with unemployment running out the 26th of this month, we were going to see possibly millions of people out on the streets. So I think, it's not enough because they're only giving people $300 a week in unemployment, and I don't believe it's even extending past the spring, and there's no reason to believe this isn't going to last past the spring.
Yeah, so, you have to be realistic. This is going to help some people, but
it's going to prevent millions of people from maybe losing their home. But I think they're doing that so people don't really something happens. Yeah, exactly. It's a pressure valve.
What's the libertarian meme? The riot tax.
Yeah,
yeah. We're giving you just enough so you don't burn this whole thing down.
They might just be so out of touch that they don't even know.
That they're gonna do, is it a monthly thing or is it just a one payment?
No, or as far as
the stimulus. They agreed on it. The stimulus is only $600 one time, and then the unemployment is $300 a week. But they're saying it's not going to go past April, which that's ridiculous. Because
I just think that the $600 one payment is ridiculous.
Well, it's half what we got last time, and that was fucking crumbs.
Right. So in our total COVID relief, the United States has gotten less in the entire pandemic than Canadians do in a month.
Yep.
Canadians get $2,000 Canadian dollars a month just for existing while there's a pandemic going on.
That's not including their unemployment benefits.
Not including unemployment, not including the Canadian government paying.
That's just pure stimulus aid, just a check.
Or just, hey, take this money and keep stimulating this economy.
And of course, there's even bigger examples too, other countries. Yeah.
Exactly. But we've gotten less in the entire duration of the pandemic than Canadians do and others in one singular month. So, yeah, really soak that in. How corporatized this government that we
So Canada, they get in 2,000 Canadian dollars. That's $1,500.
Well, it's 2,000 what do you call it?
In Canadian dollars.
No, it's 2,000 in our money. But yeah.
Either way, they're getting
more than that.
Stimulus.
Yeah,
they're
obviously,
way more, and their unemployment's way more too.
And they also have healthcare.
Yeah, and they're even like some of these countries.
And they already have better social benefits to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and something that it takes forever in this Times article, because the Times article tries to paint the Dems as having to fight for some hard agreement against the Republicans, when the reality is
having to battle evil, what is it, Moscow Mitch and all that shit.
Yeah, when the reality is, we all know they work together to, as you said, it's a corporate bailout, just like the CARES Act was.
Weren't the Republicans starting to do some Russiagating on the Democrats too recently? Yeah, so it's just a Russian boogeyman. Because all it results in is sanctions against Russia, never really any actual policy changes, it's just more hawkishness. And we already know how much NATO's crept up on the borders, violating what was settled after the Cold War.
Exactly. There's troops in the Black Sea, NATO troops on the Russians' borders. Yeah.
Point is, though, not only did the Dems not fight for anything, because we're not getting anything out of this, and $900 billion for a stimulus is laughable too for the kind of crises we're facing. Plus, given how much in the CARES Act, for example, they were willing to give to corporations, but also they had a secondary part of this where the Dems were asking for an extra $1 trillion that they could give to the states to deal with costs in like hospitals, etc. And that entire thing just fell through for them, so they didn't even fight for that at all.
Exactly.
So the half that they lost on, that they were saying was non-negotiable, was more money than what we just got right now. So they failed on all fronts, on purpose.
Which is like the purpose of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
All they do is posture, and then as soon as they face
lay down
the slightest amount of pressure, they instantly fold.
When it actually matters, they lie down and give up.
They lie down, take it up the ass, and the corporations get all the money while we get fucked.
Don't use public support when it comes to something really important, like people's livelihoods being able to continue to exist. Nothing important like that is worth fighting for.
No, that's fucking ridiculous. What are you talking about? I need to make sure Jeff Bezos is as rich as possibly could be.
Yeah, those livelihoods must be maintained.
Exactly, it's way more important. He worked harder. 174 billion times harder.
Do you guys want to pull up the Ron Johnson video?
Yeah, pull it up.
So this is Senator Ron Johnson bitching about giving Americans money while he, creates slush funds for corporations and enriches himself. Let's play it. Real smarmy shit.
I want to say to my colleague from Missouri that I certainly share. I think every senator in this chamber shares his concern for people who are hurting because of this COVID pandemic. Businesses have closed. People are on unemployment. People are in need through no fault of their own. This was an act of God, and that's one of the reasons why I certainly supported
an act of God.
CARES Act. That was over $2 trillion. In total, this body has passed well over $3 trillion, 15 to 16% of last year's GDP in terms of financial relief. My comments here are really not directed specifically at the senator from Missouri's proposal, because he makes many good points. We do have working men and women. We have households that, again, through no fault of their own, are struggling, and we need to provide financial support. I think my comments are, in some respect, more general from a standpoint of how we've done that. And as I've explained to my colleagues in conference, by and large, the initial relief packages here were a shotgun approach. Now, we had to move fast. We had to do something big. We had to make sure that markets wouldn't seize, that financial relief could be sent
we had to give billions to corporations fast.
And so we passed over $3 trillion in financial relief. I knew it would be far from perfect. It was far from perfect.
We built this whole society on the financial industry. We can't let it fail.
And anything we consider for this additional package that we're considering now, that's being debated, that's being discussed, that's being negotiated, ought to be far more targeted. One of the reasons we are currently $27.4 trillion in debt, which is about 128% of last year's GDP. If we do this bipartisan deal, another $1 trillion, we'll be $28.4 trillion in debt in the next 3 or 4 months. That's 132% of GDP.
Can we pause
when I came to the Senate, we were a little...
So we'll give you some more background with a Jacobin article on this guy, but just another thought here, like, it's so hilarious to hear them bitch about debt when it's possibly going to be used to actually help normal people. And we know by doing that, that's going to actually relieve the national debt because we can lift normal people out of debt and actually, do like make an economy work correctly, how an economy probably should work. But, on the same hand, he doesn't say shit when he's passing $1 billion, $700 billion fucking expansion to the military budget. Like that goes to the debt too, motherfucker. What about the Iraq war? How much does that shit cost?
Not only does that go to the debt, that does nothing to stimulate. That does nothing to chip it off once it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the wars. Like 5 years from now, that money's not going away. All our military bases, that shit's just stacking up.
And they're going to continue to use that as reasons like, oh, we need to cut social programs because
we can give more to that. Yeah. It's nuts.
I think it's funny because like $1 trillion obviously is a lot, but when you compare it to $27.4 trillion, it's like very small. It just sounds small.
And also, like,
dude, you're already 27. Why not just make it 28, dude? Like,
exactly.
Like, that's gonna make a big difference.
And when you consider what they spent the other 26 on, which is corporations and the fucking military,
exactly,
rather than us.
Look how many trillions we wasted in the Middle East. Well, why is that? Like, why is that never? Why is that never up for debate? But as soon as it's, hey, we need healthcare. Hey, we need this. Hey, we need that. We need economic.
That's the global chessboard. We got to keep that going. What, you gonna overturn the global chessboard or something?
We need all the economic stimulus. Oh, sorry, that all the budget, all that's debt. Look, oh man, deficit. Oh, come on, we gotta get rid of the deficit. We can't right now. Hey, look, sign this bill though, bro. Trust, bro. More military spending, bro. Please, bro.
It's just classic deficit hawk for when you want to spend on the citizens, but never when it's for fucking bloated military or empire or any of this stupid shit that they always vote for.
It's because they're the ones that profit off the empire.
Exactly. Well, let's get into that. This is from Jacobin, but you can. There's another source we use all the time, Open Secrets. You can look up how much this asshole's worth. It says a millionaire Senate Republican cited the deficit to block aid after enriching himself with tax cuts. Republican Senator Ron Johnson led the fight to give himself a tax cut of up to $205,000. Now he is citing budget concerns to block emergency $1,200 checks as America faces mass starvation. Republican Senator Ron Johnson on Friday moved to block emergency survival checks, that's what you just saw there, to millions of Americans, citing concerns about the federal deficit. Johnson's move not only follows his vote for a massive $500 billion corporate slush fund, it also follows his successful effort to enrich himself with a giant tax cut that expanded the deficit. Johnson, who is worth an estimated $39 million, led the fight in 2017 to create special tax breaks for so-called pass-through businesses, or real estate shell companies. Johnson was one of several Republican senators who backed the last-minute provisions inserted in the bill, and whose listed income from those pass-through entities on their federal financial disclosure forms. Based on those federal filings, Johnson stood to personally reap up to $205,000 from the tax cut provisions he championed. So yeah, it just totally reveals who this guy is. He's up there complaining about the deficit, complaining about giving fucking crumbs to the people that actually make this country run. Meanwhile, he's, his whole career been enriching himself, and he's mega rich, super disconnected, and has no idea what it's like to live in the shoes of any of us.
Exactly.
Oh,
and then,
please. 205,000, that's nothing. That's not corruption.
And if you look at this and be like, oh, he's just some shitty Republican, well, let's look at somebody from the Democratic Party that did this. Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is on record saying giving economic stimulus is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. At the same time, this is like Chuck Schumer is one of the most like corporate people, most like corrupt people you'll ever meet in politics. And he's sitting here saying giving poor people money is a bad idea. That's the face of both of our parties.
How else do you get into Democratic Party leadership?
Exactly. How else do you become Nancy Pelosi's fucking actual pet? Conjoined at the hip with the fucking reptilian.
Yeah, and she's of the same opinion too, and how much she's worth. She's worth probably as much, if not more, than Ron Johnson.
Oh.
So, but obviously, yeah, they're all just different fucking reptiles, but all the same.
Oh yeah.
Different kinds of lizards, but still the same. They're just selling us out. Yeah, that's all I had to say about just the stimulus in general. It's good to see that there's some money being given to us. Not that that's a win, and the progressives in the House need to also put more leverage in, and we need to continue to build working class power so that we can pressure them and pressure politicians and put them in a place where they think their power is threatened, because that's the only thing that's going to get us the concessions we need. And yeah, and really they're so disconnected, and this whole stimulus shows it that, I mean, we need to build working class power, not to just get concessions. We have to fucking destroy, the elite class. Capitalism is done.
As they like to say, we need to repeal and replace.
Yeah. But that's all I had to say on the stimulus. You guys have any final thoughts?
And on that note, we're going to go into our... Oh, wait, if Michael say something, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just something super short. It's just like also the people who are like pushing for the stimulus, that is, again, $600, are saying, oh, at least we're giving you something,
Right.
Like, that's exactly what they're going to say. Like, stop, don't complain, we're giving you something,
Take this money and fuck off.
Yeah. It's fucking stupid.
Gross.
Yeah, that's all I had to say. It's just something a little short.
Yeah, but I guess on that note, we're going to go ahead and go into our first break, or our break for the show. And we have this fucking hilarious shit from 2007. And you guys are really going to enjoy it, I think. It's fucking super funny. And yeah, we'll be right back after this.
Are we allowed to play this on Twitch?
Yeah.
It might be a little explicit.
No, don't worry. I scrubbed through it. It's fine. Alrighty, we'll be right back.
Thank all of you for your time, your suggestions, your encouragement, and your prayers. And I look forward to continuing our conversation in the weeks and months to come.
Hey B, it's me. If you're there, pick up. I was just watching you on C-SPAN. Anyway, call me back. You seem to float onto the floor. Democratic Convention 2004. I never wanted anybody more than I wanted you. So I put down my carry sign. Knew I had to make you mine. Smile black and sexy, you're so fine. 'Cause I got a crush on Obama. I wait till 2008. Baby, you're the best candidate. I like it when you get hot on Hillary in debate. Won't you pick up your phone? 'Cause I got a crush on Obama. I wait till 2008. Baby, you're the best candidate. Up in the Oval Office, you'll get your head of state. I can't leave you alone. 'Cause I got a crush on Obama. You're into border security. Let's break this border between you and me. tell the truth unlike the right. You can love, but you can fight. You can barack me tonight. I got a crush on Obama. I wait till 2008. Baby, you're the best candidate. I like it when you get hot on Hillary in debate. Won't you pick up your phone? Cause I got a crush on Obama. I wait till 2008. Baby, you're the best candidate. Up in the Oval Office, you'll get your head of state. I can't leave you alone. Cause I got a crush on Obama. To the R-A-C-K-O-B-A-M-A. B to the A 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 to the R-A-C-K-O-B-A-M-A. Leave you alone. Cause I got a crush. Obama!
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that.
Fuck did I just watch?
We hope we baracked your world.
I've got a
Wow,
crush.
I feel like I really am back in a time before Obama was president.
There's some hard bars in there.
That came out in June 2007?
Yeah.
That might partially be the reason why he won.
Early 2000s.
Before John McCain's brain tried to kill him.
Early 2000s were horny as fuck, bro.
God.
His numbers were up.
Wait, you mean
like
all of
that-
human history?
I like the part where she goes, Obama, universal healthcare, reform. What a funny sentence.
She's like tells the truth, unlike Republicans or something. It's
Yeah, that's a funny one too. It's like knowing now, or the border security one.
Yeah.
Since he became, the porter in chief.
Yeah,
Like every president before him almost.
A nice little time capsule piece. To the horniest, some of the horniest times in modern American history. Peak Obabe.
I mean, we live in nonsensical times now, but thank God we weren't that conscious. 2007, yeah.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the little meme we threw in there for you. I thought we'd switch it up from like our normal
that was fun.
routine. That was super funny. But now that we're back from our break, it's time to get serious. Sorry, excuse me. Very recently, I believe yesterday, the day before that, a couple days ago, Instagram ruled out some new rules and regulations of the terms of service, unjustifiably cracking down on sex workers, sex worker accounts specifically targeting them, shadow banning them.
And the terms of service were very, very vague too. Like they were not lined out even.
Which is how they can weasel around it. And before I get into it, this is how they can allow Bella Thorne to, for an example, somebody who very obviously is using sex work as a publicity stunt. You have people like Bella Thorne who are allowed to talk about their OnlyFans on their Instagram. At the same time, you have legitimate sex workers who have been doing sex work for years, decades, some who get shadow banned or even actually get their accounts deleted for talking about their OnlyFans, etc., etc. Like they keep the rules so vague to keep the very famous influencers above the rules and keep those who are actually existing under the rules down and controlled. So going into the tweet from their Instagram comms team, if you want to go ahead and pull that up, we're seeing some confusion that our terms of service update is targeted at sex workers. We want to reassure you, our community, that this is not true, and nothing will change about the way we enforce our policies on 12/20. We made some changes to our terms of service to make them easier to understand. For example, we're providing clear language on how we use data to personalize ads. And we are going to have all of that linked in the YouTube video. If you want to go ahead and read through all the terms of service, updates. They'll be in the YouTube video description, and you can go ahead and look at those. I'm just gonna skip them now, and we're gonna talk about some other stuff that ties into this and the continued oppression of sex workers, as well as the dangers of not supporting sex work, because it's very important. Even if that's something you wouldn't do personally, it's very important that we allow this type of labor to exist, especially in a safe and like comfortable fashion for those who want to pursue sex work. So we have this article from Vice here that I'm going to read quickly, if you want to pull that one up. This is going to be talking about SESTA FOSTA, and for those who are unfamiliar, I'll go ahead and read about it, and we'll talk about it here in a second. This is all the way back in 2018. At 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Wednesday, President Donald Trump signed a bill into law that's already started hurting people in the consensual sex trade. The bill mashup of the Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act (FOSTA) and the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act (SESTA), which is commonly referred to as the latter, SESTA FOSTA, FOSTA SESTA, was passed in Congress in March. It makes websites liable for what users say and do on their platforms, and many advocacy groups have come out against the bill, saying it undermines essential internet freedoms. And so, really quick before we continue, talking about what SESTA FOSTA does is important. So there used to be there's large parts of Craigslist and all these other small websites or small blogs that existed under domains, where sex workers could go in their local communities and talk about customers. Like, this guy did this. Oh, this guy attempted to rape me, abuse me, etc., etc. Don't do business with this guy. This guy did this. Don't do business with this guy. This guy was a great customer. Good business, tipped well, etc. And what SESTA FOSTA did is they said, obviously, for decades and decades, we have always tried to suppress sex work under the guise of, we have to be careful because of sex trafficking, etc., etc. To not only continue to demonize sex work, but also to just continue to sweep it under the rug and just throw it in with other legislation that has nothing to do with sex.
To be real, that enables trafficking too. That kind of behavior towards sex work.
Quite literally, SESTA FOSTA has made sex work way more dangerous for women and men all around the country. By getting rid of these websites, by getting rid of these blogs and forums where sex workers can go and discuss what's going on in their communities about bad and good customers, you are instantly creating a problem and making sex work instantly more dangerous, because you're now you're victim blaming. You're not letting the victims, the possible victims of assault and rape, etc., to talk about what happened in a safe and open manner with other sex workers, and you're allowing other sex workers to get harmed in the process. But very obviously, our government does not care. They don't see sex work as real work, even though it very much is. It's the exact same thing as any other type of labor. They
call it the oldest profession for a reason.
You are quite literally selling your body when you go into your job every single day. Doesn't matter what it is, you're literally selling your body. This is no different, and as long as it is consensual, it is of course okay.
I think regardless of your mindset now too, it's the same approach to drugs. It's out there, people are gonna do it. It exists.
Exactly.
So the best thing we should do is just make sure it's safe for everybody.
No matter what bills or what laws you sign in, sex work will always exist. Doing drugs will always exist. So instead of continuing to push these people into recesses of our communities, deeper, darker, more dangerous holes of their society, embrace them with open arms, create safe pathways for them to exist in our society, just as other people exist in our society. Drug users, sex workers, etc. Not equating the two or anything like that, but it's just something to talk about.
But yeah, the same principle kind of applies.
Exactly. It's always going to exist. You can never get rid of it net zero. So just not even legalize it. That's a huge debate going on in the sex work community: legalization versus decriminalization.
Yeah, we got to make it's the same with drugs. You got to make that decriminalization step first anyway.
Before we can even have a proper debate on the problem. Exactly. Yeah, and decensoring the sex working community. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue because this article is really not that long.
But then who would go to prison if we decriminalize these things?
Yeah, who would put out our fires for $1?
How would we fill up
The
record prison numbers?
Yeah, Kamala Harris would put out the fires.
Get over there. It could be months or as late as January 2019 before FOSTA is enacted and anyone can be charged under the law. But even in the days immediately after the bill was passed in Congress, platforms started scrambling to proactively shut down forums or whole sites where sex trafficking could feasibly happen. Fringe dating websites, sex trade and advertising forums, and even portions of Craigslist were taken down in the weeks following, while companies like Google started strictly enforcing terms of service around sexual speech. One of the websites key to the FOSTA debate was Backpage, a site where users posted advertisements frequently for sexual services. Federal authorities seized Backpage on Monday, 2 days before Trump even signed it, demonstrating that the FBI never really needed FOSTA's backing to indict the site to begin with. Lola, a community organizer with the Survivors Against SESTA, told me in a signal message that this is literally a life or death law for sex workers. 100% true, and it is that serious. I know so many people who are able to start working indoors or leave their exploitative situations because of Backpage and Craigslist, she said. They were able to screen for clients and keep themselves safe and save up money to leave the people exploiting them. And now that those sites are down, people are going back to pimps. Pimps are texting providers every day saying, the game's changed, you need me. And that is like quite literally the reality. People who were able to leave these shitty situations because they had the tools available to them to make their work, their sex work, safer and more independent, are now forced back into these shitty situations a lot of times because they don't have these tools anymore because of our repressive puritanical government who wants this to not exist at all. They want everybody to, slave away at a 9-to-5 for Amazon, and any sort of individuality and freedom of expression is shut down.
They're pretty much just switching out legitimate middlemen with sketchy backdoor underground middlemen.
Yes.
Which is like we're doing with the healthcare industry.
I'm trying to figure out a way on how to say that, and I think Carlos put that perfectly. I'm trying to say they're making sex
they can
work
more
into,
choose their own
this
clients
dark and evil thing. Like they're pushing it into the shadows, and pushing something into the shadows means it comes out, sketchy in a way. You get what I mean? And I feel like Carlos put that right.
And that's exactly what.
And it shouldn't be that way because it needs to be, like you said, safer. So.
Yes.
And then just finishing off this article, and then we can talk, and then I'll read some more. FOSTA SESTA is empowering abusive clients to exploit workers, Lola said, leading directly to more pimping and ultimately more harm and potential for actual trafficking. Because, that's true. When you're forced to work for somebody else, the chances of you being put into a trafficking ring, etc., are obviously going to go higher.
Mm-hmm. You're not independent.
Not to make the comparison again, they're the same, but if you're a heroin user and there's no place to get heroin, you're gonna go find a drug dealer.
Exactly.
So you sketchy heroin.
Then you don't know what's in it, and you could overdose and die.
Rather than going to a clinic that has needles or something.
Exactly, and instead of being able to communicate with local sex workers, like, hey, do not work with, let's say, Steve. Steve drives this car. He attempted to assault me after performing a sex act, etc. Do not go to him. Notify police, etc. But now, where we exist currently, not only can the sex worker not communicate with another sex worker, if they go to the police trying to talk about this man assaulted me and says, I was committing, he was paying me for sex, she can possibly be arrested for that.
It's so ridiculous because, of course, online sex work is much, much safer than, what they're having to revert to. But, even that is not that safe.
Of course.
The reality is. So it's they're being moved even further back than something that's already inadequate.
Yes.
Yes,
you
it's
could
good
even
for
use... I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think you could even use marijuana as, an example as well. Because, look at how many dispensaries are open now. Because of, I guess you can say, the legalization of it. and that makes it so much safer to obtain the marijuana. But when before you got to go through like a back door, you got to find it from somebody, like you said, like a drug dealer or some sort, or someone who grows it. And now you could just, I could just go buy it at the store or something, which is 100% safer because they also have regulations because it wasn't regulated before.
Not getting laced blunts.
Also, because it's legal, you're paying a tax, and that tax is stimulating your economy. You're literally helping your community by doing drugs.
Yeah.
And obviously that's where you can draw a line, or it's where you can draw a line of separation because, like I said, there's still a huge debate in the sex worker community whether to stop at decriminalization or exist.
Just like marijuana too. Like, look at now, all these corporations have taken over, and they've realized that this is a racket, and they can, do like grow massive amounts of marijuana where they shouldn't, destroy land and shit, and also sell it at expensive prices.
And I think something, I guess it's we obviously don't have any malintent when we're doing the comparison, but obviously legalization of marijuana isn't fully complete until we expunge all the past convictions of people arrested. And the same thing goes for sex work. All sex workers who have been arrested for sex work, etc., need their case expunged and their records
completely swiped,
completely cleaned. And that is a huge step when talking about anything that was previously illegal. And I think that was an important thing to bring up. And then I have another link here. It's not that big. It's from decriminalizesex.org. If you want to go ahead and pull that up. And it's just a short piece describing a little bit more in detail what SESTA FOSTA is. What is SESTA FOSTA? In February of March 2018, the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House respectively passed SESTA and FOSTA. President Donald Trump signed these bills into law the following month. Damages the longstanding safe harbor rule, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, which protects freedoms of speech on the internet. Section 230 stipulates that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider, properly known as the 26 words that built the internet. Section 230 allows user-generated speech and sentiments to remain uncensored without holding platforms and ISPs responsible for that content. We depend on this freedom to work, socialize, and exchange ideas online. Platforms, large and small, are central to our right to assemble and share beliefs in online communities. Under SESTA FOSTA, these rights are at risk. The Act amends Section 230, suspending its protection where online platforms are seen to be promoting prostitution. Online services can now be held liable for sexual service advertisements posted on their sites. The amendment allows the state law enforcement officers to prosecute these cases. Together, reforms are intended to disrupt, fragment, and shrink the online prostitution marketplace. Online platforms must censor user-generated content or risk civil repercussions, resulting in limited freedom of speech and expression on the web. And yeah, like that last part really like ties it home. Like the whole point of this legislation is to continue to nice. This edible might have just said nice on Jacan. But yeah, like the whole point is it's super true. Like the whole point of this legislation is to continue to fragment and push these communities down into smaller and deeper holes where it's more likely that they're going to be put in dangerous situations and could end up hurt, end up psychologically damaged, end up dead, arrested. And yeah, there's so many other factors, and it's completely disgusting. And this happened, in 2018. This is something that's been happening, but I thought it was important to bring up and talk about because of what just happened with Instagram and their suppression of sex work. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of just bring about a little bit of history. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in this subject, and I'm not the most well versed, but I thought this was important to bring up because SESTA FOSTA is a disgusting piece of legislation. And then we also have these two screenshots here, and I believe these are from the website called Stop SESTA. I believe I'll double check on that and make sure it's in the YouTube description. But we have this first one here from Alexandra Levy, the adjunct professor of human trafficking and human markets from Notre Dame Law School. Section 230 doesn't cause lawlessness. Rather, it creates a space in which many things, including lawless behavior, come to light. And it's in that light that multitudes of organizations and people have taken proactive steps to usher victims to safety and apprehend their abusers. Which, yeah, just big facts. Instead of making the internet and the world a safer place for sex workers, who 10 times out of 10 are the victims of sexual abuse, etc.
Yep.
Instead of making it a better place for them, we're just making sure that the abusers are going to be fine and the victims are going to continue to be blamed because your fault for wanting a better life for yourself and not having to push yourself to work this really trash job, say working at a gas station, etc. Instead of doing that, go make a little bit of money doing sex work. So yeah, and the fucked up part that I'll talk about this actually after I read the other screenshot I have. And this is from Susie Q. James, Director of Policy and Industry Relations of the Free Speech Coalition. It is continuously frustrating to see legislation focusing on censorship as a means of combating sex trafficking, in hopes that broad restrictions on constitutionally protected speech will somehow trickle down to victims and survivors already in dire needs of services and increase access to justice. Strategies such as SESTA have the opposite of their intended effect by limiting platforms used as tools for intervention by victim advocates and law enforcement, making their important work that much more difficult. Censorship does not prevent trafficking. Absolutely true. And oh fuck me, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Oh no, apprehended.
I think it's something like real. You're saying like earlier, like, oh, maybe it's something we're not that versed in, but it's something we talk about all the time as worker power. And I think that's solidarity with all workers. That's regardless of what you think or what, of their profession. Like the whole point is they're being exploited in this situation. They're workers and they're the downtrodden and they're the people that we need to defend. And the other comment I guess I would have was, and this is another thing we talk about all the time, so maybe we're qualified to talk about it too, is just censorship in general by these giant media companies and corporations, because now we see some of the other shotgun effects too, where you have shit like this happen where they're going to use it. This is just straight up worker suppression, basically.
Of course.
So like, it's not unreal, and I'm sure there is examples, I just can't think of one now, of like unions or like, worker groups being suppressed on Facebook, Twitter, etc. And we should treat them the same as this. They're just attacks on worker power. They're attacks on the poor, the downtrodden, the oppressed, and yeah, they shouldn't. Not only should they, this should be a place where we're all free to, do the shit we want to do, and not be regulated by these gigantic companies and small, in these corporations. But yeah, I guess that's all.
And I remembered what I had to say. Also, great point, by the way. So something that's, I guess, very important to remember. So say you're watching this and you don't necessarily agree with me, and maybe you even kind of just disagree on the premise of sex work. And not only do I ask you the question why, and if you're going to be watching this on the YouTube, please comment why, and I'll get back to you, because I'm genuinely interested in people who don't agree with sex work. But also to the, I don't want to say large, but I guess to the vocal group of anti-sex work feminists, the SWERFs, who who unironically talk about destroying the patriarchy, etc. by but they also unironically are in support of the patriarchy by saying, "Hey, woman, you cannot do this job because I told you, because you're a woman." Instead of being able to express yourself as well as use your own labor power, your own labor to make your own money and live the best life that you want to try to live. Instead of doing that, we're gonna Big Brother stand over you and say you cannot do this job, and then we're gonna hide it under the guise of, oh well, feminism, destroying the patriarchy. and this isn't like I said at the beginning, this isn't a hit at all feminists, just sex worker exclusionary, the swerfs. If you don't stand in full solidarity with your sex work sisters, you really aren't actually a feminist at all. Like that's just
if you have a working class feminist perspective, which I think is integral to truly having a feminist perspective,
then
this is clear that they're the ones being downtrodden, they're the ones we need to protect, and these acts are disgusting, and they only enable more harm to them.
If you have to say I'm a feminist, or I support all women, but you're not in support of all women, or you're not a feminist. If you have to be like, oh well, except trans people, except trans women, or except sex workers, you're not a feminist.
Same to worker power. We see that shit sometimes where people try to make exclusionary arguments for like different types of jobs, like jobs that not PMC type jobs, like 100K up, like. People try to shit on different jobs. It's like, dude, we're all the same.
Yeah, no.
None of us make any money.
And then I guess another thing to say before I go, I guess the word feminist, like after the whole Gamergate shit in 2016, really kind of got muddied. I guess, or just on like the dudes rock side of shit. I guess, like just for
the
like
reactionary, right?
Yeah, so if you're watching and you hear me say feminist and you instantly think like blue-haired SJW on campus. That's just like that's a stupid straw man to go to. It's a very small minority of the quote left. They'll be a very vocal and do it. Just ignore them. That's what I do. I don't fucking care what a SJW has to say. Like obviously they come from a place of probably they come from like a place of better, like they come from a better place than say like a Republican. But just the way they go about what they say, I guess, is shitty. It's all in the framing. But I'm not I'm not a reactionary. I promise.
I'm not gonna say true feminist, but we've covered what I would consider feminists before, and people because there's a radical history of feminists in our country that are, especially like in the 1930s and 40s in the Great Depression era. There's plenty of women that fought for the working class and the poor, fought for women's rights. Yeah. There's an interesting history too, where if you go back, there's the feminist movement kind of scalded the black community also. And
I was just about to bring that up. You have actual people.
But even within that, there was groups of feminists fighting against that because they understood that what does everyone share, that we're all wage slaves, and they were speaking in a completely different language than someone like Susan B. Anthony was.
Exactly, who was anti-black as fuck. And I was just about to say, like, you had women of color who looked at this more from a class perspective, while also like keeping the reality that race plays a big role in our society. But you have women of color who are coming at this from a class angle and saying, we all exist under the same system. We're all in this together, and let's act like it. And then you have people like Susan B. Anthony who are like, well, just white women get all this stuff. We'll worry about you later.
Yeah, but that's why I still embrace feminism and the movement of feminism around the world, because if you're actually versed in it, there's a radical history of feminism.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
So to be averted to the word is just strange. It just means you haven't done your research, kind of thing. you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Anyone have like any final thoughts before we go to our?
No.
I just wanted to touch on like one little thing.
I was just
for
like
anybody
that
was like
I'm right wing. No.
that like disagrees with like sex work and everything, or that you think it's bad. I just hope that what we just said in this entire podcast, that you are now more well informed of the situations that come from you. I guess. I don't know how you would say that. Agreeing with it.
I get what you mean.
Because I feel like it stems from being uninformed.
General ignorance. Yeah.
And that's what that's a lot of things.
Because when we grow up, we have like this notation that sex work is bad, or that like it's not something that anybody should take part in. And I think like that's why I think it comes from being uninformed, and that there are
like just the society that we live in. Like we're raised in this Christian values, still kind of Puritan, and like
exactly.
sex is nasty, sex is gross. Don't talk about that.
Meanwhile, we consume billions of hours of porn every year.
Yeah,
it's true.
It is true.
Both are in the same hand. We lie about being sexually Puritan in this country, and at the same time we're sexually grotesque, and we know no bounds. So it's
and a lot of that comes from lack of sex education,
which enables sex education.
Right.
Sex education, sexual freedom, sexual reality, being realistic to the realities of sex, and just and oppressing sex work. That all enables trafficking and all that horrible shit.
Yeah. And something I like, as I was touching on before we went on that little thing, is something I want to talk about on the show and bring up more is I guess issues with or just more things that people may not understand fully, or maybe have kind of something that turns their head a little bit, like things like trans issues, more stuff about sex work, things that people still don't fully understand, because a lot of people my age, even you grow up with this understanding of things like, let's say, sex and gender as this binary 1 and 0, when it's way more complex than that now. And obviously, as the science evolves, more and more comes out, and it's important that we all learn about the new science. And I think,
I'd say especially among even males in our generation, there's a lot of guys that are just ignorant of the feminist movement and ignorant of sex work and women's issues in general.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to do something about maybe a history of trans working class fighters and whatnot. I think that'd be
one of the best. Well, our first interview, and shit, I think it was still one of our best ones, was the femicide interview.
Yeah, with Jennifer.
Jennifer, yeah.
If you're interested in hearing Jennifer Ruiz talk about femicides, go on our YouTube, and you can watch the entire interview that we have with her. It was super awesome, very informative. Yeah. So I think if we don't have anything else to say, if we don't have anything that anybody wants to leak about, maybe a future show that you have planned or anything, I think we can short show today. It's been kind of a slow news week.
It's been a slog. It's December. Everyone's got stuff going on too, and we got stuff planned for you guys. So it's don't worry.
Yeah,
the holidays.
We will be back on Wednesday though. If you enjoyed what you saw, please drop a follow. We got 2 at the beginning of the show, 1 right before, so that's 3 today. That was awesome.
And if you're still here, thank you for sticking with us.
And we also got some biddies. Shout out Poppy Poppin', Poppy Popin' if you're watching in the VOD later. That was super cool. But yeah, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. If you enjoy what you saw, please drop a follow. If you're watching without an account right now, please create an account and drop a follow so you never miss an episode. Jacan with the 10 biddies. Also, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can link that to your Twitch, and you can get a free Twitch Prime sub. It costs you no extra money at all. And you can give that Twitch Prime to us, which helps us in the statistics and analytics of Twitch, making us look cooler and giving us more access to emotes. We're also still in the process of working on our first one, so stick around for that. Thank you guys so much. As I say at the end of every single episode, workers of the world unite, and also do whatever you can to organize in your community. Those who are watching from Oxnard, we already have awesome groups in our community that do stuff like this, such as Oxnard Study. And if you're still in high school, check out, or even graduated already, but check out Oxnard RSN, Oxnard Revolutionary Student Network or newspaper. They're super awesome. They do the whole Tribune of the People. They're just a bunch of really dedicated people to fixing our community. And
I think it'd be cool in the future if we could maybe get some of their stuff linked up in our Twitch or something. Mm-hmm. Maybe if we need their permission or whatever, but it'd be cool.
And then also, I was talking about this to one of my coworkers who watches the podcast today at work. She was asking questions about if people can send stuff like links for us.
No.
send us links to talk about on the show, and I said, yeah, of course. So if you're watching, if you're watching and you have something that you're interested in talking about or having us talk about, shoot us a DM on our Twitter or Instagram. It's at Spoop Podcast. Somebody can go ahead and type in socials for me, Michael, if you can do that really quick. Or if you follow us on our personal Twitters, DM us with the article. Be like, hey, I thought this was really interesting. Maybe if you guys find it interesting to talk about on the show, and if we fuck with it, we'll talk about it on the show. We're like,
that's all in our motto of like organizing your locale. Send us shit. We want to be your voice.
We're all about being the microphone for our community.
We talk all the time. We want other people to talk.
Yeah, and then also, if you're a local artist, you have a band, and you want to get your music out there, we do local band, local music all the time on this podcast for our breaks, intros, and outros. So yeah, if you're a local artist here to the 805, feel free to reach out to us. Also, if you're a photographer, a videographer, artist, painter, etc., and you have art that you have for sale or etc., send it to us, and we wanted to kind of do like once we get enough, we want to kind of do like a slideshow thing of where we show off you guys' art.
Any medium. If you shit on a canvas, send that to us.
Literally. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But
it'll probably like be in our breaks over the music and
like one of our big things like starting the show, like we want to be like a voice for our community, and that's what I think everybody everywhere should have. Everybody should have somewhere where they can go and voice how they're feeling about what's going on in the country, whether that be through articles, whether that be through talking, whether that be through art, music, etc. Just it's all expression of what's going on in your life right now and how your material conditions have shaped you. But yeah, we've been talking forever. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 23. We'll be back on Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. We're here every Wednesday and Sunday at 10:30 p.m. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back, and please enjoy this speech. Jacan, you want to talk about it really quick before we get started?
Yeah, so it's a interview with Max Blumenthal, and he's a reporter for the Gray Zone. He's interviewing Rafael Correa. He used to be the president of Ecuador before he got removed, basically. And now they have a neoliberal president, the one that oversaw the removal of Julian Assange. And we've covered that in the past too. We won't. He covers that in this interview too. I recommend checking it out, but we won't get to that part.
And then,
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done. I was gonna read off a quick quote from this guy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go
ahead. They're just gonna talk about Venezuela and the Venezuelan elections, which we also covered recently, and kind of not just what happened there, but his role and the U.S.'s response and their attitude towards the election. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. And then I just really wanted to read a really quick quote. It's super straight to the point, super punchy, and it reads: "The workforce in Latin America was treated as a vulgar instrument for capital accumulation," which is it's super straight to the point, easy, and it's easy to digest as well. Like we've continued to abuse the global South for resources and their labor for many years, and sadly, under our current neoliberal Joe Biden president-elect, I don't see it ending anytime soon. But yeah, let's hear the man talk. Everybody have a great night. We'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Por ejemplo, Venezuela tenía más de 50.000 millones de dólares de ingresos petroleros. Este año no va a llegar a 500. La centésima parte, ¿sabes lo que eso significa? Más aún, el petróleo era 90% más de las divisas venezolanas.
How the heck did that happen? Did I oh well.
I saw you go to 0, that was weird.
YouTube must have stuck to the time bar or something. I know it does that occasionally.
Now good night.
Mr. President, thanks so much for this opportunity to talk to you here in Caracas. It seems that you've come a longer way than I have to get here. You come all the way from Europe, where you live now. Why did you think it was so important to come here to Venezuela at this time for this election?
Bueno, gracias por esta entrevista. Realmente estaba en México. Tuve que ir a hacer unas reuniones o ir a participar a México en unas reuniones. Sí extendí un poco el viaje en México porque si regresaba a Bélgica tenía que hacer cuarentena y no podía salir nuevamente. Entonces vine de México directamente. Pero si estaba en Bélgica, muy probablemente hubiera venido directamente porque para mí Venezuela es sumamente importante y sus elecciones también, porque hay una serie de mitos, de mentiras, de falsedades. Entonces sí me gusta llevar ese testimonio a Europa, al mundo, de lo que está realmente pasando en Venezuela.
I mean, you talked about some of the lies that are being told about Venezuela, some of the deceptions that are deployed in the media. I mean, we just reported on the Wall Street Journal and US Congress basically fabricating comments by Diosdado Cabello, one of the most important political figures here, that he threatened to withhold food from Venezuelans if they did not vote. It was a gigantic lie. What do you think the biggest lies about Venezuela are that you've had to confront, and why did you think it was so important to come here to observe this election?
Es importante que haya observadores internacionales que den testimonio de que yo le diría las elecciones venezolanas son hasta aburridas, de lo bien que pasan, de lo tranquilas que son, de lo eficiente que es el método de votar. La gente se demoraba 20 segundos en votar, lo cual es muy bueno en este contexto de pandemia, porque recuerda también que se ha realizado esta elección en una pandemia, sin combustible, con cortes de luz en algunos países, incluso un paro de transporte en algunos estados, paro de transporte en algunos estados. Entonces, es necesario que se diga al mundo que aquí hay elecciones como en cualquier otro país, las mismas elecciones que hace 5 años, cuando perdió el gobierno, y ahí sí fueron válidas. Ahora que sabía cierta oposición que iba a perder, quisieron boicotearlas, ahora ya no son válidas. Entonces basta de esa doble moral. Entonces por eso la importancia de presenciar, de observar esta elección, y realmente han tenido una organización que rara vez se puede ver, ¿no? Muy bien organizada. Me hiciste otra pregunta. You have another question, a second question.
Yeah, my other question was just about the lies that we have to constantly confront in our mainstream media about Venezuela.
Esto es que las amenaza, pero no hay nada de eso. Ustedes pueden preguntarle a la gente. Lo que pasa es que, además, reflexionen una cosa, ¿no? Si, una situación es que no permitan inscribir a alguien y ese alguien o esas personas, si es un grupo de personas, llamen a boicotear las elecciones porque no les permitieron participar, no tienen oportunidad de ganar. Pero otra cosa es que no quieran participar y llamen a boicotear y digan, hubo poca participación, es porque la gente nos apoyó. Si tienen tanto apoyo, participen y ganen. No tiene sentido, están mintiendo, ¿ya? Entonces, en realidad, la cierta parte de la oposición llamó a boicotear las elecciones, no porque no estaban bien organizadas, no porque había amenazas, no porque había fraude, no porque hubo impedimentos para participar. Otra gran parte de la oposición sí participó, es sencillamente porque sabían que iban a ser derrotados. Y ya basta, eso no es democrático. Bueno, Venezuela es un caso extremo, ¿no? Han llegado a la barbaridad de bloquear a Venezuela. Y con eso sufre el pueblo venezolano. A la ridiculez, eso nunca se ha visto, de reconocer un gobierno, un presidente autoproclamado en un parque que sacó 60.000 votos para la asamblea y que no tiene ningún poder real. Porque incluso así no quieran legitimar a Nicolás Maduro, es evidente que él es el que tiene el poder. Entonces, si quieren ayudar al pueblo venezolano realmente, tienen que tener como interlocutor a la persona que maneja el poder, no a un payaso que se proclamó en un parque. Entonces, son extremos que no se han visto. El resto sí es muy similar, pero cuidado, son extremos gravísimos. Por ejemplo, Venezuela tenía más de 50.000 millones de dólares de ingresos petroleros. Este año no va a llegar a 500. La centésima parte, ¿sabes lo que eso significa? Más aún, el petróleo era 90% y más de las divisas venezolanas. Entonces, realmente que pueda sobrevivir Venezuela es poco menos que un milagro. Y hay una gran hipocresía cuando pseudoanalistas se ponen a hablar de la situación de Venezuela, las políticas económicas,